All right, we're back. We got old Saint Nick on the line.
Ho, 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 everybody. Ho, ho, ho.
So it's been a few weeks, and part of that is just to do with the end of the year. It's just been madness. We've had a lot going on both sides of the world, but here we are. It's the end of 2020, so we thought, what better time to get together, wrap up the year a little bit. It's Christmas Eve in Sydney. It'd be the 23rd over in New York. So we'll get this done, get it up, and then we'll definitely be able to say we'll see you next year. So, Dr.
Certainly.
Mike, what's been happening?
Nothing. I'm in the middle of moving offices right now. And last day at the old office today, a little bit bittersweet, moving out, moving into a new one, doing some building out of the new space, and just excited for what 2021 has to offer. I know a lot of people have had some choice words for 2020, but it's been the best year of my life, so I've got no complaints. I just feel a little bit of a twinge of guilt when I say that or even think of that, but I've made the most of a situation that needed a positive outlook, and I've done it. So I'm excited to move forward, excited to get after it a little bit, and yeah, excited for a little break, first of all.
I hear 100%. But I definitely agree with you. I think this year has probably been one of the best of my life as well. And I was thinking about this yesterday, and for the same reasons, I feel a bit shitty saying that sometimes, because I know some people have really done it really tough this year and are still doing it tough, and for a variety of different reasons. But yeah, man, it's been a challenge, but that's been okay. Like, it hasn't been easy, but the outcomes so far have been amazing. So, yeah, got a big
I've
year to
enjoyed
come.
it. I really have enjoyed it. And again, if I can put out of my brain the type of chaos and havoc and suffering that this has caused for the people from a selfish standpoint, it's really forced me to focus, forced me to develop a skill set that's functionally pandemic proof. And something like this, a tragedy, an event where it's going to test the resolve of individuals. It's the strong are going to get stronger, and the weak, unfortunately, are going to get weaker. So I made a decision really, really early on in the pandemic that I was going to be a strong person. And that's not to say that, like everybody at the beginning of the pandemic was like, let's really get it in. We're going to work out. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. I just made a conscious decision that I was going to be a better, more successful individual this year than any other year. And I plan on doing the same thing moving forward. And someone's gonna have to kill me to prevent me from doing that.
Yeah, I'll give you, I guess the example of it for me was with finishing up my studies this year, and the internship portion of that, those requirements in terms of the number of patients that we have to see and all of that stuff, that's all set externally. So that didn't change. But when the pandemic hit, man, everything just kind of stopped. We didn't have people coming in for a couple of months. And so it just got harder. But it meant that we just had to hustle. And especially in the second half of the year, we've just had to work really hard to get it done, and had to think outside the box sometimes, and really, where are these patients going to come from? What are we going to have to do? And we got there. I think when you're in the thick of that, it sucked. You just kind of throw your hands up and just kind of go, this really does suck. But getting through that and coming out the other side of that, you kind of look back and go, well, you probably wouldn't have it any other way, because it really did kind of test your character a little bit to have to push through that. So yeah, it was a good thing.
And anytime any situation like this happens, whether it's financial ruin or recession or a pandemic or, God forbid, war, whatever. I mean, people look for places that don't waste their time. People look for high quality products, services, and situations. And, if anything, from a professional standpoint, the pandemic highlighted how important it is for you to take care of your body, A, and B, how important it is for you to find somebody that's qualified in order to do that for you, right? Like you don't want to leave your house 24 times in 3 months to try to get your back pain fixed, right? You want to leave your house little as possible with treatments that are as effective as possible and as long lasting as possible. And what I found, particularly after I opened up, post lockdown, quarantine, whatever the heck you want to call it, is people sought me out more. They were looking for that high quality opportunity, that high quality care. And without me even needing to do anything, and that's kind of undervaluing what I actually did do during the pandemic, people needed me more, right? There was more demand for our type of care. So it was an interesting thing to be a part of. But yeah, are people going to run out for McDonald's? Or are people going to run out for a really, really good restaurant takeout meal? And I tried to position myself as the really good restaurant takeout meal.
Yeah, it's not a feel-good level of healthcare, right? So it's not one of those things that people can necessarily just do without, because if you need to fix a problem, you still need to fix a problem. It's not like something that, because it feels nice. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's a very legit thing that is needed.
Yeah, and it's like if you've got a leak, you call a plumber, and resources are tight, time is tight, it's dangerous out there. Are you going to call the super cheap plumber that you might need to call 3, 4, 5 times back and may not get the job done for you? Or are you going to call the plumber that once you sign that check and give it to him that your issue's resolved? And so I saw such a great increase in demand because people were done with managing pain. They wanted it to be taken care of, right? They wanted to know that every time that they came in to see somebody, they were going to get actionable and permanent relief. And yeah, worked out well for us.
Well, I guess the messaging that you're putting out there is doing its job. So that's a nice shot in the arm.
Yeah. And again, people instinctively know, right? Consumers are smart. People who are in search of services are smart. And that's not to say that I had, 100% track record with everybody, but people have bullshit meters. And if you pass that bullshit meter, both with your messaging and with your actions, right? Because you need to be twofold in that sense. I would have never expected my business to grow at a rate that it's grown at. And I think the pandemic helped it. As weird and as bizarre as that sounds, right? The pandemic certainly helped expedite the process of me getting involved in building and growing even more.
So we thought we'd do a little bit of a reflective piece on the year that has been so far. So we're going to kind of cast our minds back and just talk through some of the standout events that really stick out for us, and then we'll throw it forward into 2021 and give a little bit of a preview of what we're excited about. So let's kick it off with this year that has been. Dr. Mike, what has been the, I guess, number one standout event in a business sense for you this year?
Ooh, from a business sense, this is going to sound interesting as a listener, but I was able to basically increase prices, and nobody had any issues with it. Nobody batted an eye. So that was a huge thing for me. I kind of had this mental hurdle in my head in terms of, what am I actually worth? What's the value of my service? And, on one side of me, I thought it was, X at $45 and, that's what I felt like I was worth, not necessarily what I felt that the service was worth, if that kind of makes sense, right? You always have that imposter syndrome, that doubt syndrome in your head. And so to be able to raise that price and have people be like, well, that's the way it is, that's what you're worth, was tremendous business experience for me. And $10 per visit doesn't seem like a tremendous amount, but when you kind of extrapolate that over the course of, what you're seeing in a month, and had that first month where everybody was at that new price, and I looked at everything and all the people that I'd helped and all the people that had been serviced and things like that. And then I saw what I made from a profit standpoint, and I had that like, look, Ma, we made it moment. So that was probably the coolest thing, and both from a self-worth standpoint and from a financial standpoint, changing the price to reflect a little bit closer as to what my value was, and kind of getting over that fear of changing things.
It's a hard thing to do, I think.
Yeah. Super hard.
Yeah.
But if you know what you know.
It's good. Yeah. I think for me, the big thing that stands out was earlier in the year when I moved into my own space. You know, that was huge because I was kind of shitting myself just to actually push the button on it. And, you know, we knew that it was the right place to go to. I ended up needing a little bit of a push from Vera just to make it happen. So I'm glad she did that for me. But yeah, that was a big deal. I think just to be able to fit that out in a way that sort of represents me and the brand that I want to make, and just have the creativeness to sort of express that a little bit. So yeah, that was huge. I think it's a really good location. It's in a good spot. People like it. That was a big deal. So I think that really kind of set up the rest of the year from that perspective. And it wasn't more so about this year that's been, it was really more about kind of laying the platform for the year that's coming. And we'll get into that.
It's a scary decision to make. I know. Too intimately.
Yes.
What it's like to switch bases, and your rent changes, and
there's a lot of unknowns, I think, when you do it, right? And aside from the cost, you just hope that it's going to vibe with everyone else and all those things. So there you go. That was the big standout for me. So if we move into, I guess, a standout event in terms of professional career, sort of goes closely with the business, but on a sort of personal career level, what's something that's really stood out for you this year?
I mean, I think our events are probably going to be the same, if I have anything to gasp out. But that seminar that we all went to in Boston in, what was it, March, that just totally changed my mindset on everything. Something clicked in me that day that I was like, you know what, like this is legit. Like I'm going to be able to do this. I'd started to build some momentum, starting to feel some of those feelings of uncertainty in terms of what's the next step. And I got there, talked to people, learned some things, and it's just solidified my confidence. It was a clear before and after point, just in terms of even communicating with patients. You know, it went from saying a lot of, I think, I feel, I hope, to, you know, this is what it is. This is going to happen. You can expect this in this many visits. And it's just this switch just completely flipped in my head. And that was enough to just kind of put me over the profession. Like I felt like a doctor, like a real doctor for the first time after that seminar, not somebody who is like without a paddle, you know?
Yeah. Look, you're right. I mean, for me, that was a big turning point this year as well, because it almost didn't happen. If it was a week later for me, that was not going to happen. I literally snuck back into the country as the pandemic kind of shut down the world. And, you know, had I not done that, that opportunity probably wasn't going to happen again, because, you know, those big group seminars are not something that's a happening thing at the moment. So yeah, looking back on that was something that I'm really grateful that I had the opportunity for, but I also followed through and got it done, because it wasn't an easy trip, but it was just huge to be there for that, you know, getting to hang out with you for a couple of days, but also just making those connections with a lot of other people, and just being around that group, I think was really pretty inspiring, and it gave a lot of context to everything to sort of see, you know, what's possible. So yeah, that was huge. I was really, really grateful to have that opportunity. So, and the skill set upgrade that came out of that was pretty awesome. You know, I remember we were at the hotel in the morning, and one of the things you sort of said to me in passing was, your life is about to change today. And you weren't wrong. You know, I think it's hard to kind of get your head around the skill upgrade that you get from that really intense kind of hands-on training, and in that environment with a bunch of people that all just want to improve in the same way and help each other. So yeah, I loved it. Can't wait to do it again. Yeah, that was a huge thing for me.
I think the environment is just as important as the actual technical skill development. I think just to be in an environment where everybody's striving for the same thing, you know, that kind of commonality of suffering, that tribal mentality, and, you know, to be in a place where there's 15 or 20 people spending $1,200 just to get better for no other reason, so they can provide a better service to their patients. It's cool to be around. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, no, I loved it. You know, I think for me, because there's such a lot of travel involved with it as well, you know, so the cost goes up, the time investment goes up. So that whole thing has a lot more weight. It has a lot more value. And yeah, so anyway, there we go. That was the big professional thing. So that brings us into the standout event in a personal sense. We've kind of covered a business and professional. What's a big thing that's happened to you this year that really stands out?
I don't know if it's an event per se, because like I didn't like wake up one day and something happened to me and all of a sudden I was changed personally. I think I went through a personal development program just to kind of learn about myself, and you know, it was a course of, I think, 8 to 12 weeks and a lot of hard work. And I was excited that, you know, I developed a little bit of self-awareness about some of my strengths, some of my weaknesses, and how to work on that. I'm not a very empathetic individual by nature. And it was just cool to try and, I guess, develop some empathy for people, like just to feel a little bit more, feel how other people feel, develop a little bit of compassion. Because if I don't do that, I find that I just stay so focused on accomplishment that I just lose sight on the little things in life that aren't necessarily black and white, right? I have a really, really tough time hanging out in the gray area, you know, not always wins and losses. That's how my mind naturally goes. And I have to kind of take a step back and say, okay, there's more in between black and white that you can kind of hang your hat on and feel. And not everybody is focused on wins and losses like you are. And I was like, I realized that. And I'm like, what the fuck do you mean? Right? Like, how can you just not want to win? And just developing an understanding that other people think differently. And that if I manage myself, I can put myself in other people's shoes easier. And again, I'm not going to live in this like hyper empathetic state, but at least when you come into my office or Brianna is trying to tell me a story, I can just dip myself in that empathetic water and just be a better person for that individual. So that was a huge step that I took moving forward this year. And I'm just excited about it.
It's awesome, dude.
Sort of.
No, it is. I mean, it's an important skill, an important quality to have as a doctor, right? Because you need to be able to do that for people. So, and to have the foresight to actually, the awareness to understand that and work on it, you know, that's huge.
And one of the reasons why I was drawn to ID at first was the measurements, right? Because those measurements for me were wins and were losses. So I could get better and win more. Right. So that was what I was just like,
Right.
oh, I found it, right? I found that fucking holy grail of medicine where it's tangible, it's measurable, it's changeable. And if you don't change it, you were either wrong or you were shit.
Did you realize you were looking at it like that until you did this?
Sort of. I just didn't know that was a sort at times it's a pathological way to look at it.
Right.
I knew I liked it, but it was not always the right way to do it. And so just being able to step back and be like, yo, this person doesn't really care that her straight leg raise went from 77 to 87 degrees. They don't care. You may care from a clinical standpoint, but you focusing on that as a win doesn't mean anything to anybody else. So just being like, okay, how is she feeling? How is this happening? How can I connect more to what she's doing? How can I connect more to how it's affecting her life? As opposed to just being a straight, oh, you're better. Cool. Let's keep going. Awesome. See you next time. It's just helped me to become a better human and doctor.
Yeah, I probably need to connect with this training now after listening to what you said.
It's tough. It's real because it's just you get so hyper focused on it and it feels good. Like the trouble with winning, and I say this with a grain of salt because I'll chase a win like the rest of them. The trouble with winning is the feeling that it gives you is so flipping good. You know, it's a drug. Winning is a drug. And it's like you can become addicted to that drug sensation and not give a flying fuck about anything else. Right? Like not give a fuck. And it's like it turned my relationship from, you know, my mindset was how do I win? How do I be the best boyfriend, fiance, husband possible? And at times that's a successful way to think about it or a productive way to think about it. I don't want to say successful, but as you I'm sure understand, it's not like your fiance wants to feel like you love her, not feel like you're in it to win the competition against all the boyfriends, husbands, and fiancés. So it was like ding ding ding. So yeah, I guess that's my personal development nugget of 2020.
Nice. I kind of wrap up, I think two things in one because they both happen very quickly and we're kind of interrelated. You know, for me, I wanted to, in my mind, I had this idea that I wanted to, I wanted to solidify the relationship that I have with my partner. And, so I wanted to get engaged to her. But I didn't want to do that as a student, something within me, I don't know, it just didn't sit right. And she's put up with a lot of shit. You know, she's been through this ride for the last 3 years. And, if anyone that is listening to this has been in a relationship with a full-time student, especially when they're coming towards the end of their studies, it's not always easy. We're selfish. It can be selfish. But look, she's been phenomenal. She's studied herself. And so, she's understood, been very understanding, and just kind of given me the bandwidth to do what I needed to do. And so it's been in the back of my mind that, I've got a lot of making up to do for a long time. I owe her a lot. And so look, in my mind, we're always going to be together, but I think, it was time to make that official. So we finally, I knew we were going to cap off the study stuff this year. That got hard with the pandemic. But my numbers were trending in a way that it was going to happen. It was going to get done before Christmas. So I was able to organize a ring.
Organizer. What a BS way to say it. You bought a damn ring.
I bought a ring.
Take pride. You shelled out more money than you probably wanted to, but it felt good to cut that check.
Yeah, it did. But look, I had no fucking idea what I was doing. I had no idea what I was looking for. I was flying blind, completely flying blind. Shout out to my good mate Ben, who came with me and took me to his jeweler, and we got it done. But yeah, man, that was an interesting experience.
Big rock, small band, right? I saw it. You did a good job.
Thank you, sir.
You did a good job.
Yeah. So, and actually, the size ended up being ridiculously big because that's how much I knew. So
you got to find a ring that she wears.
All right. Yeah, we're getting that sorted today. So yeah, look, I was able to do this planning and had all this happening. We finished university a week ago. So the engagement, the proposal was coming a week later. We got that done a few days ago, and it felt like that. It felt a bit like, oh shit, I have to get this done. You know, like in my head, there's a bit of a build up to this thing happening. You know?
Just what she wants to hear, right?
Yeah. Look, it was
I understand though. You hype it up so much in your brain that like you're just like, God, I just want to ask it and get it over with and get it done and like move to the actual
and then enjoy the next part.
Right. Like the rest of your lives together.
Right.
It's how I feel about the wedding right now, to be truthful. I just want it fucking done. Don't tell anybody. Sorry. She doesn't listen to this. Come on. But I get it.
Yeah. Look, it was awesome. It was really nice. We got to go out to, like my family's farm, which is out in the central western New South Wales. It's a special place for both of us. We enjoy it there, and you can just set up. There's no one else around. So yeah, it was awesome. It really came together well. It rained and shit a lot on the first night, but that was okay. So for me, the big personal standout event or time for this year is really right now. It's getting done with university after being there for 5 years, and then I guess just rolling that straight into a commitment to my partner for the rest of our lives. I think all of that all just sort of came together really well. And they're two things that interlink completely because, my career now is a big part of her life and being able to provide, for a family. And so we got it done.
Congrats, brother.
Thank you. Yeah.
Congrats.
So that was huge. Yeah. There you go. Sorry, ladies, off the market.
Yeah. 2 bald bastards.
That's it.
Not available.
All right. So we're almost wrapping up with 2020. I thought as much as you can talk about it from a confidentiality perspective, if there was, I guess, one case that sort of stands out this year, for whatever reason, maybe you got an incredible result. Maybe it was just someone that you really enjoyed working with. Maybe it didn't go so well. Maybe there was a lot of lessons learned. Is there one that sort of stands out in your mind as something really special?
Yeah, I've got a guy. Again, I'll keep it. I've got a guy that I'd been working with for a couple of years, since back when I was still an associate in Brooklyn. And his case kind of progressed relative to my skill set, which was, and again, I would have loved to have fixed him 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, but I just wasn't equipped to do it. And this is an individual that kind of stuck with me. We kind of grew together in a way. And yeah, we finally got him to a point where he's at a sustainable, I guess, conditioning level or sustainable health level relative to the load that he's placed on. And, we had a couple bumps in the road. He had left shoulder pain, he had lower back pain, he had neck pain, and we were kind of bouncing around a little bit, and his shoulder was only getting 85% better. And it was a big deal because, he was a baseball player, so we needed that shoulder. So we took a break from the shoulder and went neck. We kind of bounced around. And then as I became more focused, as a provider, we were able to deliver him some more focused attention. And then ultimately what I came to the conclusion of was, hey, this last 10 to 5% shoulder function that you need, I'm not getting it to you. So get him to an orthopedic surgeon, goes in, do some arthroscopic work, and then comes back to me. We get his shoulder 100% better. We get his thoracic spine 100% better. Now his lower back's 100% better. So it was a journey for us both. And he's a good person and a good individual and somebody that was super, super patient with me. Because at each stage in the process, I was still his best option. Right. But, I was a shit option relative to what he needed, even though it was the best option for him at first. And then we just kind of grew together. So, if you're listening, hope you are. If you're not, don't blame you. Thanks for kind of growing with me. And I'm happy we got you some results and looking forward to the future.
Yeah. Mine's actually one of my best friends, who will remain nameless. He probably won't listen to this, but he's been one of my best mates for the last 20 years, and he's had low back pain for as long as I've known him. Sometimes it's worse than others. He's had a few really, really acute episodes. I know 3 years ago, he was really, really bad and had some imaging done, and it wasn't good. There was multiple levels of protrusion. There was modic changes. There was a lot going on. It was pretty bad, and it never really got better from there. He just kind of found ways to move around it. And I'd really wanted to help. But I think up until this year or earlier this year, I didn't probably feel like I was quite there yet to be able to take that on, in the sense that this is someone that I really care about and I need to get this spot on. This really needs to work. And it was actually after I came back from the seminar, and I felt like my confidence had taken a good boost and my skill level had come up, and thought, all right, it's time. So, it was a little bit tricky to actually get him on board, because he tried a few different things and that hadn't really helped at all. And I think he'd just really given up, and didn't really sort of trust anyone. But I guess I had that in a little bit because we have a close relationship. But so to his credit, he gave me a shot, and I think the first couple of times we were still a little bit on the fence about it, but we started to make change. And that was a big deal. That was enough to keep him interested, keep him coming. And, one of the things that he absolutely loves to do in this world is snowboarding. And his back had been such a big problem for such a long time that he'd been on a family holiday the year before, and he hadn't been able to snowboard properly. He'd sort of get a little bit of momentum down the hill, and then he'd have to stop because his legs were burning, and it was just a nightmare. So that was always, I guess, the goal in the back of the mind, is if we can get this body sustainably better, can we get it back on the snowboard? And so it took us a few months to improve the function and really get things to a sustainable level. And he went snowboarding. And I remember the first weekend that he went, because he sent me a picture from the snow, and he's standing up on top of the mountain holding his snowboard above his head. And, it's one of my best friends, and it was just awesome. It really, I think for me, if there was ever any doubt at all about what we do and about this, this approach to healthcare, it was gone. I mean, to see that was incredible. And so, it went so well for him that he went snowboarding, I think, another 3 or 4 times that season, just because he couldn't get enough. So, that was incredible for me. I think it gave some confidence, but just to be able to see what we can do, because I had the imaging reports to be able to see the state of the lumbar spine prior to working with it. And it was pretty scary. It wasn't good. So, to be able to see that we can clean up those tissues and actually restore a lot of function. And it's not like it's 20 years younger, but we can do a lot of good. So that was huge for me. I really love that one. So
a good one.
Yeah, really, really good. So that's our 2020. We're going to throw it forward a little bit now and look at 2021 and just kind of what's exciting about 2021. I think there's a lot, but what really stands out for you?
Yeah, I've got a new office, and for me, it's mostly the office is a representation that this isn't something that I'm lukewarm on whether or not it will ultimately work in the end. This is something that I know can work. This is a business that can be a positive difference in the world. It's a business that can provide me with financial stability and financial freedom. And it's just kind of taking my mindset from, hey, this was like my side hustle that I built in my spare time, to, hey, this is my full-time gig, but I still have other part-time things, to now it's like, this is all I'm going to do. And in doing that, scary, right? You lose a little bit of that security blanket, some of those feelings that we love to have at night. But, I ultimately know this is going to be the best thing for me. I've done it. I've done the working 2, 3, 4 jobs to try to prop this up. And then you go down to one job with it to prop it up. And now I think I'm ready to go all in, because this isn't a pet project anymore. And I never emotionally treated it like a pet project. This was always something that in my head, I knew I was all in on it becoming all in. But from a logistics standpoint and a funding standpoint, I knew I had to make ends meet on the other side to get it to a point where this was all I needed. And I'm at the point where it's all I need. It's a real office. It's a big boy office. It's me. It's an assistant. It's a front desk worker. We got real human landlines. You know what I mean? You're not calling me on my cell phone in between visits. We're not DMing each other to set up an appointment. This is the real deal. And I'm excited to really take it to the next level.
Yeah. You don't really get to that level right out of the box, out of day one, right? I think you have to, it's a little bit of a process, especially when it's just you.
Yeah. I think some people can go 0 to 100. And for me, I wasn't that individual. I didn't want to, proverbially quit my job to chase my dream. I wanted to chase my dream as I supported myself and get to the point where my dream was a reality, and then it's game over. You know what I mean? So if you go all in right from the get-go, I don't blame you. I understand where you're coming from, but it just didn't make sense for me. So now I'm ready.
I think sometimes it's like a comfort level as well, because I'm like you, and I'm not that big risk taker guy that does everything straight out of the gate. I tend to want to sort of ease into it a little bit, and I've followed a kind of similar path with taking those sort of smaller steps. But yeah, I get it. Some people can just ride or die from the start, and they're often very successful. But yeah, it's interesting.
What about you?
Yeah, look, for me, I'm kind of pumped just to be full-time working again. It's been a long time away from full-time work, and I guess just spending 5 years of being told what to do. Of course I appreciate that opportunity, but it's just going to be nice to not be worried about what's next, like what's due next week, what's due the week after that, when I have to plan my life around these semesters and these tests. And I think it's just going to be nice to kind of slow down and enjoy the smaller things again. And yeah, just put my own stamp on the business again, you know. Yeah.
It's a different set of worries, but it's a set of worries that I'd rather have, right? It's like I'd love to worry about business as opposed to worried about, you know, when your Derm 2 project is due with, you know, your fucking classmate that doesn't want anything to do with it any more than you do. So different set of problems, but better set of problems.
Yeah, I mean, everything changes. It's a different, it's a completely different sort of social aspect as well. You're not kind of thrown in large kind of groups and sort of forced to be within all that sort of thing. So you just get a bit more autonomy, just kind of get to do all that stuff. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You know, it's been a while for me to just kind of operate like that. So yeah, 2021, it's going to be a big year.
That's it. We did it.
That's it.
We didn't mention the Centenarian Project at all in any of our personal highlights or professional highlights. It's been an interesting year doing this and learning with you and getting to know you, and I'm excited about it. And
yeah, I think
more podcasts in 2021.
We should mention that because you know, that is something that I think has been big out of this year. You know, like we both mentioned the seminar sort of thing, and I suppose that was really the catalyst for everything that's followed in that sense. So yeah, I'm totally grateful that we've been able to do this. I've learned a lot, and you know, I hope we'll find a way to keep it going next year. I think it's been a really good thing.
Amen. Well, Happy New Year, everybody. We'll catch you next year.
Yeah. Merry Christmas if you do Christmas.
If you don't do Christmas, Merry whatever. Good wishes, well wishes, whatever you do.
And yeah. Stay safe. Stay corona free.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll see you on the flip side.
We're 1 week closer to being pain free at 100.
Oh, beautiful.
I got it. I beat you to it.
I love it.
All right, guys.
We'll see you soon.
Have a good one.